Hello guys, Ramsi hapa. Najua most you're not used to this excellence. Mnaonanga sura za ati Joe the Arsenal guy, the guacamole. Imagine mtu anajiita avocado. Anyway, today is November, or rather today is International Men's Health. Men's Health, sorry. It may sound weird, but you get the point. In other words, today we are celebrating men. Imagine, I think I saw somewhere that International Men's Day is the 13th most celebrated holiday in the world. You can imagine Halloween comes before men. Hiyo ni siku ya mashetani. I mean, masheto inapewa priority kuliko wanaume. Anyway, that's a story for another day. So, today being International Men's Day, I thought of why don't we do something different from what we are usually used to? Because normally we talk about football, Arsenal this, Chelsea this, Man United this, but kwa life kuna vitu more important kuliko, football alone. And one of those things ni what we don't talk about, well enough is about men. And to be precise, mental wellness among men. For those that don't know, I'm usually involved in Project Mob's epilepsy awareness because I live with epilepsy. So I believe I know firsthand experience, have firsthand experience in terms of what it is to be a man living with a condition that end up putting you in a situation where you have to battle, whether you have to be stable mentally constantly, and the challenges that we go through trying to maintain our sanity as men. Now, I'm going to share a personal story which I don't like talking about because it makes me vulnerable and I feel weird, which is a part of a problem again. I know it's weird, but we are here to open up. So, some time back, there was this period where life got really, really rough for me to a point that I genuinely became suicidal. And before then, when you hear things like suicide and depression, I used to think, hii ni magonjwa ya wazungu, watu wako na pesa. But until the day the enemy knocked on my door, that's when I was like, okay, this is real. Now, like I said, I live with epilepsy. So there was this period in my life that, should I call them my friends, they were dying left, right, and center through epilepsy. In a span of about 2 to 3 months, I lost 3 friends through something in epilepsy called SUDEP. SUDEP basically is sudden death in epilepsy, whereby someone went to sleep and they were fine and they never woke up. And, the first time you grieve and you're like, okay, you've lost someone. And then the second time you're like, okay, now it's getting uncomfortable. And then you lose another one. Actually, there's one that we planted a tree and a chair somewhere at Arboretum in his memory, R.I.P. Madenge. And what that did to me as someone living with epilepsy is that it made me feel like there was a target on my back. Like I felt like, that thing telling you you're next, you're next. So I was constantly living in anxiety over the age. And the fact that anxiety is one of the triggers of epilepsy didn't help my issues any better. Why? Because the more anxious I'll become, the more attacks I'll get, and the more it will look like it's like my suspicion or being confirmed that you are going to die, because this is how people die. You get attacks and you die. Anyway, so what this happened, I found myself in depression. And the sad thing about depression, especially in men, is that there's this, I don't know what people imagine, but depression doesn't have a face. You cannot just look at someone and be like, this person is depressed. And out there, I'll look so happy, I'll be very interactive, chatty, especially in my advocacy work, which is very demanding because you have to be strong for other people, yet you're drowning. And it reached a point where I went ahead, I remember, to 7th floor. And I was staring down and I really wanted to jump and kill myself. I was not even trying to think. And then it happened. I cannot remember who called, but my phone rang when I was going to jump. And funny thing, it doesn't sound like my story because this seems like, one of those things you see, we call it kwa movie za wazungu. It doesn't even sound real when I say it, which gets to tell you how much of a problem this is. So while I was standing there, my phone rang. And when I sat down, I felt like, a cloud of emotions overwhelming me. And I think it's one of those moments whereby it dawned on me that you need help. Now, the sad thing is that I had friends in my life and I could not talk to them about. I don't know. I cannot tell you exactly why, because you meet me out there, people tell you I'm interactive and all that. But the funny thing is that with the cliche male friendship, niaje mkubwa, no details. I don't even know where you live. Most of my friends, I don't even know what they do in life. So I could not talk to anyone. I felt alone. The perfect example that I can give is I felt like I was locked in a cage. I had the keys in my hands to open the cage, but for some reason I could not. So, it's funny because I read somewhere that humans thrive on routine, but now my routine became something toxic. It's like I didn't look forward for life. I didn't want to do anything. I was just in this dark space. And the funny thing, it becomes addictive and you get comfortable there. But to cut the long story short, is the only person that I could think of calling was my mom. And I called her, and I think I'll go and look that status somewhere. I posted on Facebook, on my Facebook, that I needed help. Like, uh, I went ahead because I could not afford a therapist, and that's part of a problem here in Kenya. Therapists are very, very expensive. I went ahead and said that I need help, a therapist, and I'll be willing to trade my skills as a photographer for, services. And I went through the therapy and everything, which helped to a certain extent. But one thing that I really, really had to, unlearn that helped is that I really had to unlearn of the things that I learned, that what it is to be a man. What do I mean exactly by that? You see, things like sharing. It's sad that I don't even know how to cry. Like, I've tried, the way people go and put some sad music. You find yourself, in some dark space and you just feel like you need to let out. And the only way I can let out is through aggression, maybe go to the gym and something like that. So this is a problem that unfortunately most men deal with. And the sad thing is that we have no one to talk to. And most men don't talk about this thing, especially those ones that are dating and in a relationship, because, anytime, and most men will attest to this, one of the main reasons why men in relationship and men that are dating don't talk about their feelings is because when they talk about them, eventually their feelings and confessions are weaponized against them in an argument in future, or maybe they are seen as weak. The very people that say that, open up, talk to me, when we open up, you find like you are judged for it. You are not a man. Uh, the common term that they use is that acha umama. You see, a friend of mine was told by his wife that uh, at this rate situvae skirt wote wawili kwa nyumba, and that gets to tell you about the struggles that men go with as far as mental wealth is concerned. And the sad thing again is that we don't have advocates. We don't have male figures that are talking about this publicly. And as time goes, you'll think that things will improve. But nope, it looks like things are getting worse, if anything, at least in my opinion. And that's why on a day like this, we take that excuse to open up and share a story, because that is the only excuse you can use, because I guarantee you that someone else will not be talking about this. So I don't know. You let us know what are some of experiences that you've gone as a man, and especially that of why can't you open up to people that are close to you? I know mine, like I said. Mine is because every time that I've tried to confide in someone, they they have weaponized my confessions against me at some point in life. And that's why you normally see most relationships that, most friendships in men last, because we don't care so much. Okay, we care, but we don't talk so much about our feelings and what is going on. It's like we just want to celebrate each other with where we are. Talk, light talk, what is working, what is not working. And you eventually feel like, oh, I'm not alone. And we go our separate ways, when in reality, you've not addressed the core issues that we are dealing with. Someone comes and tells me, hey, what's up? I'll be like, man, ni life too. Kusota, nini hapa pale, the casual way Kenyans talk. And that conversation ends. And we go back, and then the system repeats over and over again. So, what is your experience like? And maybe ladies can tell us, if a man came out and opened up to you, will you see the same? Will you see him the same way?